Governments are no longer denying it. The military are no longer denying it. And even mainstream media no longer denies it. They're here and have been here for a very long time. The Mutual UFO Network has been on the front lines uncovering the truth since 1969. And now we're sharing the truth with you. Welcome to MUFON's What's Up with hosts Katie Grabowski, Christopher DiPerno, and Katie Cook, exclusively on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. Wondering what's up? So are we.
What's up? It is Tuesday night. It's a rainy Tuesday night here in Colorado. It's been a gray, cloudy day. This is MUFON What's Up Radio, the show that says discovery starts with curiosity and curiosity starts with MUFON. Brought to you by KGRADB.com. I hope you go to their website and like and subscribe. I'm your host, Katie Grabowski, the Colorado MUFON State Director. As always, we are endorsed by MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, always asking that all-important question, are we alone in the universe? I want to recognize some of our wonderful speakers coming up at the 2022 MUFON Symposium this July 7th, 8th, and 9th. We are going to be hearing from Ron James. I actually just got to see Ron James out in Sedona, so that was a lot of fun. He's wonderful. He's going to be talking to all of you about insider views and behind the scenes from his new film, Accidental Truth. So hope you guys can make it out to the symposium and see Ron James out there. We have an amazing guest for you tonight, none other than the one and only William Henry. I'm kind of geeking out because I've been an Ancient Aliens fan forever, so I'm so excited that he's here with us tonight. But first, I'd like to introduce my co-hosts. We have Katie Cook. You've seen her on country music television for quite some time, and she's interested in paranormal and UFOs. Welcome, Katie.
Hello, I'm very excited about tonight's show. William Henry's going to be fantastic.
Yes, he is. And we also have Chris DiPerno, New York State Director, and his co-hosts, Jerry and Jenna. Welcome, Chris.
What's up, everybody? My homeboy here says hello, and his girl here. I don't know what. Jerry's getting a little jealous, but anyways, the three of us think we're going to have a great show tonight.
That's going to be a good one.
For sure. Katie, what do you have to kick us off tonight?
Well, let's start with our fun meme of the week. Amanda, if you can put that up. Okay. I love this one. I think it's a Far Side one, Gary Larson. For those of you just listening, so the aliens have finally landed. There's human spectators there, and the first one off the ship manages to fall down the stairs. And his buddies say, wonderful, just wonderful. So much for instilling them with a sense of awe. But, I decided to do a little bonus meme this week. Let's throw that one up. I think it's quite timely. For those of you just listening, it's Will Smith. It says, sees alien for the first time, punches it in the face. Oh, I had to.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Did you look into what we talked about last week?
What? No, I don't remember.
Do aliens use toilet paper?
I was going to.
You did not. I did. The homeboy and myself investigated it. So let me tell you. First of all, aliens do use the toilet. Amanda, put up that alien. There you go. All right. There's nothing like reading a magazine on the toilet, sitting there making that one. But I will tell you, I was working with Jenna, and Jenna knows how to do it. Good. Yeah, there we go. Jenna's got it going.
Oh, good girl.
However, my homeboy Jerry has a little bit of a problem. Yeah, he doesn't get the idea where the toilet paper goes, and he almost got it on the seat here. We almost had to cancel the show because his toilet paper was dragging through the seat there. But I am working with them, and I hope to report that Jerry can use toilet paper a lot better than what
they're getting better. We got
yes, absolutely. He likes that 2-ply, that soft stuff you squeeze the Charmin.
Oh, he goes all fancy. Okay.
Yeah, well, take a look at those alien butts. They're kind of small. They need that soft stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, gotta take care of the little aliens. Okay, well, speaking of aliens, I'm going all classic this week with our Pop of the Week. Isn't he cute? vanilla, so sweet. These are the Paranormal Pops, of course, made right here in America by our friend Wendy Robinson. You can get you some at paranormalpops.com. I love that classic alien. They taste so good. And finally, I found something fun. You guys have all seen the I Want to Believe posters. Well, I found a I Want to Leave t-shirt. And you can get those at redbubble.com. That is designed by RFAD. And yes, sold on redbubble.com. I know a few people that might want that t-shirt.
Yeah, I do sometimes.
Katie G, last week you were showing us those really cool candles that you got.
Yeah,
You got
I don't know if you can see. I have them lit up behind me here. And I know Bill Skywatcher was wanting that. So I created a banner so people know where to get them. Amanda, if you want to roll that video that reminds people of what I'm talking about here. And I found a little clip of the shop in Sedona. So if you're interested in those, you can contact those. And they'll custom make different candles. I thought it was pretty cool. Amanda?
Yeah, you got that video, right?
Yeah.
My name's Angie. I'm one of the wax magicians here at Sedona Candle Magic. You're going to find us here every day live creating. We're happy to show off our wax skills for you as we dip multiple layers of color which illuminate when the candles are burning. And not only that, you can watch us carve our designs in less than 10 minutes. Come see us at Sedona Candle Magic and we're happy to show off for you.
They're pretty awesome. And they're not just UFOs. I mean, there's cats. I mean, you name it, they'll probably custom you a candle. So I wanted to share that with all of you.
I love those. I think those are so cool. And then did you find anything else this weekend? Because you've been like nonstop traveling, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, this weekend I went to the UFO Con in San Francisco and had a terrific time. And unfortunately, I didn't even see the ocean or see water or anything. And there's a shot of all of us with Lori and Fenton. We just had a fantastic time, met a lot of great people, Preston Dennett, others. There's Dave Scott and Dev Rugney that we had on our show. It was a fabulous time. Oh, Paul Hynek. Oh, my gosh. We had incredible synchronicities and a lot of fun. So unfortunately, I didn't get out of the hotel and there was really no good shops there, but it was a fantastic time. So
that's cool. Yeah. Very cool. Well, Chris, what have you got for news this week?
News this week. All right, Amanda, let's get to the news because we got some very important stuff. All right. Is Earth a minor planet being used as a prison or garbage dump for other extraterrestrial civilizations? Matilda McElroy, an Army medical nurse, claimed she communicated with the only alien survivor of the Roswell UFO crash. Matilda McElroy was a well-educated and trained woman who claimed to have seen extraterrestrial bodies in Roswell and telepathically spoke with one of them. In July of 1947, she was dispatched to the crash site as a military nurse. As the bodies of the two aliens were discovered, one of them was dead, go figure, while the other was alive and well. Matilda began to communicate with the alien and was assigned to converse with the alien. The alien was female. I don't know how they figured that out, but hey, and her name was Ariel. Ariel. Get that one. The two communicated through telepathy. Matilda learned that the extraterrestrials, that their visit to Earth was an expedition and that she was a commander and a pilot. There is an expeditionary force that is headquartered in the asteroid belt. Matilda was told the following by Ariel. The Earth is a minor planet orbiting around a star and is physically separated from the more densely populated heavenly societies that exit closer to the galaxy's center. So I guess we're on the east end of the galaxy. Ariel said the Earth is only suitable for use as a prison or a garbage dump. Folks, after what I've been seeing, it's hard to beat that one. Around 30,000 years ago, the Earth began to be used as a garbage dump and prison for all extraterrestrial animals who have been labeled as inmates. These bad aliens were captured and transported to Earth to the underwater stations of the Rezazori Mountains of Africa, the Pyre Mountains between Spain and France. Folks, I don't know where these places are, and I got to tell you, I could care less. The Mongolian steppes that where these aliens have been and based. So, I got to tell you, I don't know about you, but I don't know about this, but here's what Jerry and I found out. Jerry and I went to do our own investigations. All right. So Jerry and I went to investigate this story and discovered that the aliens are now trying to model these prisons somewhat like ours. However, Jerry says that the aliens are not sure about the soap dropping thing in the shower. Amanda, would you put up that picture? Yeah.
Oh, God.
They haven't got the clue about that yet, but I'm sure they're going to get it sooner or later. Jerry reported that the prison food sucks. One of the prisoners said they haven't had a mutilated cow's ass or eyeball in God knows when. Jerry stated that the aliens did have a meeting with a human representative about dumping in prisons. They had talks, dinner, and drinks with that human representative. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you, this is why we're a garbage dump here. Amanda, will you please roll that video of our human representative?
Game face, meth face, crackhead.
So maybe I made a mistake saying I was only going to slam a bottle every 2 months. Let's do one every 2 weeks. That'll be 2 a month.
That was so smooth. Oh my God, my stomach's not even burning. I'm actually enjoying it. Am I? No, I'm not. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you are. No, you're not. Yeah, you are. No, you're not. Yeah, you are.
Oh my God.
The aliens said, sorry, after meeting this guy, we decided to keep you as a garbage dump. Okay, let's get some thoughts on this, Cookie.
Oh, wow. Okay, that hurt my eyes.
Story right now.
I feel a little bit sick watching that. Yeah, you know, evolution's never been 100% my thing, and now I'm pretty certain. I'm pretty certain we haven't evolved all that much. I could see where we could be a dumping ground for ETs. I mean, we are on the far edge of the galaxy. It's like we don't get invited to all the best parties. We've got an attitude. You just throw us out here. But it could explain our slightly dysfunctional nature. I could be down with this. But let me ask you this. I always thought the Roswell alien that they found was male. Was I wrong in thinking that?
Well, I got to tell you, I've seen pictures of, drawings and photographs and computer generated. I have not seen any genitalia on any of them. So male, female, I don't know. But if she says it was a female, who am I to doubt it?
Yeah, maybe. Katie?
I just want to say to all our viewers out there, warning, warning, do not down a whole bottle of Bacardi vodka or Bacardi rum, I'm sorry.
Are you talking from experience?
Or Crown Royal or anything. That could kill you. Don't do that.
Well, it sounds like you're talking from experience. So is that something that we...
Not me.
Not me. Yeah, right. I've heard that one before. And stuff. All right, well, let's get to our next story here. Somebody else is on the moon, reveals another NASA scientist. A NASA whistleblower has come forward claiming that there is an extraterrestrial activity on the moon and that NASA has been hiding this fact for years. George Leonard, a NASA scientist and photo researcher who received a number of official NASA images of the moon, much of which he revealed in his book, Somebody Else is on the Moon. That's a good title for a book that's for people on the moon. Leonard was far from the only one with a credible history seeking to inform the public of the facts that the moon and the pictures captured during the Apollo mission. NASA, which stands for Never a Straight Answer, Am I right on that? Yeah. Continued to delete 40 rolls of film from the Apollo program. The flight to the moon, the flight around the moon, and the landings on the moon. The astronauts walking around it also. Leonard said that NASA is aware of extraterrestrial activities on the moon and is trying to conceal it. Isn't the only one who has made such a claim? No, he's not. No, we're not on our own NASA astronaut. Dr. Edgar Mitchell stated the same thing. I had a hard time getting that out of my mouth. Dr. John Brandenburg, a plasma physicist, recently said the same thing also. He was the deputy manager of the Clementine Moon Mission, a joint space initiative between NASA and the Ballistic Missile Defense Organization. So, Amanda, let's check out that video of what's on the moon.
Les showed me a small paperback book entitled Somebody Else is on the Moon, written by a former NASA scientist, George H. Leonard. Leonard had been working in the Photo Intelligence Division of NASA. His job had been to interpret moon pictures taken by the unmanned space probes we were sending there during the early and mid-60s. NASA was mapping the moon, scoping out possible landing sites for the future manned missions. Les lent me the book, and I read it overnight. Leonard had come across photos he felt confirmed the presence of a very ancient and possibly current civilization on the moon. He explained that in 1961, President Kennedy had committed the USA to reaching the moon within a decade, primarily because throughout the 1950s, the scientific community had been rocked by observatories around the world, which began reporting and later confirming that moon craters were actually disappearing, right out from under the watchful eyes of their state-of-the-art telescopes. Since the possible ramifications were obvious, and presumably, since the Roswell incident had already gotten the government's attention, the powers that be had decided that Uncle Sam had to be the first to reach the moon. After arguing futilely with NASA authorities about releasing the photos, Leonard published them himself in his book. He felt the taxpayers had a right to know what NASA knew, pointing out that despite a 9-year mobilization effort that had cost billions of dollars, NASA had shut down the entire moon project after only a few landings. His contention was that we had confirmed that we were trespassing. The small photos would show little, so he provided hand-drawn sketches to accompany each photo. And he published the special NASA identification code numbers for each picture, that could be seen in every photo, some with their ends turned up or down as they hung over the edge of a crater, 3 surprising pyramids that prompted me later to closely study the Egyptian Giza Pyramid Complex, apparent pipelines crisscrossing the surface, running to and from craters, a UFO rising from the surface and photographed directly above a crater, and perhaps the most memorable, the unmistakable figure of a rectangular structure, placed squarely in the biggest crater pictured. The structure looked either very old, or under construction, but the crater had to be miles wide, and the camera angle gave a perfect 3-dimensional view. The clarity and resolution were unlike that of anything I had seen before or since, and I shudder to think that this was only the beginnings of the spy-in-the-sky technology that has evolved since then. Then my eyes caught it. Houston, we've got a bogey at 2 o'clock. And there was more. Roger that. Apollo. Switching to Alpha. Roll 8 degrees and begin sequence. Roger, mission control. Confirming Alpha. Though I knew instinctively what it meant.
Wow. Is there cities on the moon? Are there bases on the moon? I'm going to let you guys decide. What do you think, Katie?
This is one of those topics that I Mike Barra and I know others have looked at fully in talking with I'm so 50-50 on this. I think some of the evidence is compelling. I just don't know enough about it, but we have astronauts, sort of like that whole moon landing conspiracy theory. I think we actually went to the moon. I know that much, but what did they see there? That's maybe a question. Gosh, I wish I knew more about this, but I don't. I'm 50-50 on it. What do you think, Katie?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always thought it was weird that we haven't been back to the moon since like 72 or something. When was the last time? Wasn't that like the last moon landing? It was so long ago.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think, they're talking about sending us back by 2025, right? I think Artemis 3 will actually carry astronauts to the moon. I think Artemis 1 is on the launch pad now. I think that's the last thing I read. So we're not that far away from being able to go back. I'll be curious to see if they're restricted on where they can go. I mean, if we're told everything, I don't know. It is weird.
Here's my thoughts on it. If we believe in aliens and we believe in their crafts, they got to have a place to stop. I mean, obviously, we have theories that they're taking energy from the earth as far as water goes. They're taking energy from the sun. It would make sense that maybe they're doing mining on the moon. Somebody maybe could be mining on the moon. It wouldn't be far, reached if somebody said, hey, let's stop over here. Let's see if there's any gold, silver, platinum, whatever, they want. We're finding out more and more about moon rocks that we took from there. So, I mean, if we fall in line of everything, I mean, they certainly could have bases all around the place, including the moon or including Mars or Jupiter or, Pluto or Uranus or wherever.
So you think maybe less human and more ET?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that, I'm totally convinced we're being visited by aliens from other, places. Could be dimensional too, but I want to keep in mind that if it is aliens from other civilizations in our galaxy alone, that, they would stop on places like the moon and see if there's anything worthwhile taking. Remember, ancient aliens, of course, we're going to hear about that. The Anunnaki years ago were supposed to be taking gold from this planet, mining gold and other minerals, and using us as slave labor. So, I mean, if we look at that theory, who's to say that they're not mining stuff from other, planets? It's interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Well, and like I said, I'll be very curious to see what these next missions bring back. Very interesting.
As long as they don't bring back a virus. That's all I care about.
We got enough of those.
Yeah.
I will tell you one thing. They did know this about one of the missions. When they went there, they were having problems with their spacesuits. And one of the reasons that they were worried about going back to the moon is that the moon dust is so fine, but it's very sharp. It can actually create holes within the spacesuits. So they were very worried about the actual compound there. They weren't really understanding what the compound would be that could actually start, I won't say deteriorate, but actually slice things into the suit. So,
Is Elon Musk and SpaceX interested in going to the moon? Why haven't they been to the moon?
What hasn't Elon Musk be interested in?
Yeah, I'm just. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'm just curious why he hasn't been on the moon, and he would tell us maybe.
Some people think that Elon Musk wants to go home for wherever he came from.
Mars.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is absolutely set apart from us. If you want to talk about the next evolution, you look at Elon Musk. He's whatever you think of him, you still got to give him credit for being one of the most brilliant men in the world.
Yeah, I give him a lot of credit. All right. Well, Katie G, do we have a case of the week?
We do. I think this is going to be a very interesting one for everybody to see. This is case number 118701. It's a category 3 case. That's sort of like the best of the best, category 3. It's out of Springfield, Missouri. It got a lot of attention. There's a lot of interest in this particular one. It occurred October 18th, 2021, 5:08 p.m. The wind speed, which I think is going to be important in this case, was 7 miles per hour. So there was a little bit of a wind going on. It wasn't completely still. And so the witness, while on his way home, was waiting to make a turn off of Glenstone Boulevard when he saw what he thought was a UFO that was later determined to be a 6-sided cube with one white side and one dark side. It was determined that the cube, after frame-by-frame photo analysts, was spinning on its axis. The cube morphed into 3 spinning cubes at one point in the video, then back to 1. It was closed as an unknown UAV, and it's pretty compelling because unlike a Marlar balloon or something, it it's pretty stationary, although the witness kind of like some videos do, he's moving the camera and we lose it a few frames, but it did, from the wire, you had perspective so you could see the wires, and it did seem to be not floating on the wind. So Amanda, would you roll that video, please?
There's something going on here. Check this out. It's a cube. That thing's a cube with lights. It's a cube. I'm on Glenstone in Springfield, Missouri. That is a cube spinning on an axis. Flickering. It's got lights around it in the middle of the day.
Pretty interesting. And I took a couple screenshots of that video, Amanda. So there's looks very cube-like. That's photo number 1. Photo number 2, that is where it seems like it with 3 little things. And also on another photo, I don't know if those are reflections or what those are, but they only show up on occasion. So Chris, Katie, what do you think?
Go ahead, Kiki.
Well, the only thing, I don't think it would be a Mylar balloon and be so cube-like. I mean, he really seemed to describe it as like, what do you say, spinning on its axis kind of thing. Yeah. The only other thing I could think is like a kite would have maintained some structure and could possibly reflect and look kind of cube-like. But this is such a cool case. I love it.
Yeah, what I think about this thing is that I at first I thought possibility of Mylar balloon, but I would like to see more of its actual actions, study it and really get a nice blow up of it. I don't think it's a Mylar balloon just by this what I've seen so far in the photos and stuff, but I don't know. I sure wish we had a good video of this,
Right.
And I did solid one.
Right. And I did shorten it. And, I would assume that since, you can hear other cars going by, other people witnessed this. So I don't know why more cases didn't come in. But this is one we need to send off to Mark D'Antonio. Let him analyze this one. See what he says. I'll get back with you.
I want to bring this up, too. Like we always say, oh, why isn't there a better video? I'm convinced. Call me crazy, but I am convinced that there's something to the nature, to a true UFO UAP, that energetically there might be something so different about it that it's just really hard for us to capture it like we would a normal, 3D solid object. Does that make sense? I mean, do you feel that at all?
Yeah, could be.
Absolutely. If you think about what the energy source is and the frequencies of what gives out, remember, a lot of these crafts have an aura, a plasma aura to it. And if you look at an aura or you look at a frequency, it can disrupt a photo. Yeah, I mean, if you get that aura around it, you may try to take a picture of it. I mean, it's not disrupting the camera. It's not doing a mind melt with you. But the actual, trying to take a photo with the plasma kind of deal, it would disrupt it. So it would actually be blurry, depending on what their energy source is.
Yeah.
That's pretty
cool
deep.
Case, though. Yeah, cool case.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, Chris, did you catch up with Bob this week?
I did, and I tell you what, he's got a case that's very similar to what Katie G just did.
Really?
Let's roll that video, Amanda.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bob Spearing. I am MUFON's Director of Investigations on the international side. And as always, I'd like to thank Chris for having me on to show you some interesting photos and videos every week to see where they go. A lot of these cases are preliminary, and I'm just giving you my initial assessment, and the field investigator doing them may have a total different take and come up with a totally different disposition at the end. Anyway, there was a case out of Nevada, and let's put up the first photo. This is case 121385. It happened on March 25th at exactly 1:13 in the afternoon. A car was driving along Highway 167 in Nevada on the west side of Lake Mead when they saw this black rectangular object off to the west side of the car. The mountains in Nevada are to the west. Let's look at the second picture. Basically, this object was moving at a very slow rate of speed. I actually downloaded the photograph. I checked the metadata, and indeed, the time was precisely what the witness said, 1:13 p.m. and 20 seconds when this picture was taken. Now, they were driving north. They saw this to the west. I also went to Flight Radar 24, the website that tracks aircraft with transponders, and there was nothing in the area except commercial airplanes at the time. This object looks low in altitude, and it's moving very slow. Let's look at the third picture. When I zoomed in on this picture, what I noticed is that the object is not precisely rectangular. There may actually be a tail on the left side of it at the top. It also reminded me of an old-fashioned toy choo-choo train. So it's a very odd-shaped object. The only thing that I could find on Google Maps was that there is a small airport called Echo Bay that is along Route 167. And the weird thing about it is that it's on the east side of 167, whereas the witness was looking to the west. So if this was an object mundane in nature from that airport, it certainly is a strange looking object. Right now, my guess is that it's anomalous, but we'll have to wait to see what the actual field investigator comes up with. And that's it for today. Thank you for having me on every week, and hopefully I'll see you all again next week.
Awesome.
Very good case.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's so square looking.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Bob. At least we get teased this week.
They still don't know what that is, so they're still working on it. It's not like one of those things where they go, "We're going to tell you if you come down to the MUFON symposium." No, they go, "We still don't know what this is, Chris."
Right.
Tease. Well, we've been teasing everybody about our guests tonight.
Right.
Probably just go ahead and bring them on. What do you think?
I think it'd be a great time to bring on our guest. So William Henry is a Nashville-based author, investigative mythologist, art historian, and TV presenter who is internationally recognized as an authority on human spiritual potential, transformation, and ascension. He's the spiritual voice and consulting producer of the History Channel's Ancient Aliens and host of the Gaia TV series, The Awakened Soul, The Lost Science of Ascension, and Arcanium, along with his wife, Claire Henry. With over 30 years of research distilled into 18 books and numerous video presentations, William's work will guide you to the next level of human consciousness and our expanding reality. Welcome to the show, William Henry. It's so great to have you here, William. Oh, my goodness.
Hello, William.
Good evening. How is everybody? Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. I just want to know, I don't know a lot about you. I don't know. Did you have contact at a young age? Have you ever seen a UFO? And when did all this start for you, William?
I didn't have any contact experiences at a young age. My mother might kind of disagree. She could tell the story of a family vacation where we're going out to we're driving out west, myself and my two sisters and a couple of cats in the back of a station wagon. Grew up in Detroit, and we headed west, and we get to near the Craters of the Moon National Park, and there's a booming voice from the back of the car that says, "Stop the car now, Dad." And it was me. And I made him pull over so I could go out into the Craters of the Moon and just stand there. And my parents, they told the story later. They're just like, "What is up with our kid? Why does he have to go stand in this meteor crater?" And so that was kind of weird. But no, I didn't have any UFO experiences. I had exposure to Eric von Däniken when I was around 17 or 18. That was hugely influential. So it was more of a historical passion for me than an interest arising out of personal experience.
I love it. Well, I don't know. I will say you've always been a little weird. No. And I say that in the most loving way. You've always been my fellow oddball in all of this, and we're not so odd anymore because it's finally, it's on everyone's lips, this whole topic. I've known William for, I don't want to age us, but we'll say over 30 years. We've known each other a long time. Oh, that was when we had the eclipse.
Yes.
We didn't just have the eclipse here in Nashville. Of course, it was everywhere, but that's when we were enjoying that. And that's with Claire in London. But you've always just been this beacon of hope for me with all of your research. A minute ago we were talking about, I was saying, energetically, I feel like these craft are just so different. That could be partly why it's hard for us to just capture them on camera. Let's go way back to ancient Egypt, because you're an expert on this part of the world and that ancient history. Of course, they didn't have cameras around that we know of. I'm just wondering what they might have experienced, because you have pointed to some evidence that they were visited by our space brothers. Can we just kind of dive into that territory?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, going back to the Egyptians and the Sumerians, there are so many historical accounts of people seeing, be it a light in the sky. The heavens open is the classic term that's used in the Bible. I love it. The heavens open. What does that mean? Are they talking about a rip in the fabric of space-time? Are they talking about the appearance of some sort of a craft? I mean, that takes us to Ezekiel's wheels, Elijah's ascension, the heavens open. There's numerous references in the Bible that are also found in the Sumerian and Egyptian traditions of beings coming and going from the stars, from other star systems. And the possibility that the ancient Egyptians themselves were visited is a very real possibility, in addition to the Sumerians. So I think those ancient stories are strikingly similar to what people experience today. And they're also kind of a benchmark for us. They're a stepping stone that will help us to ultimately unravel the mystery that's unfolding in front of us right now.
And this picture that we're just looking at there, can you describe what's going on here?
Yeah, that was my sort of Robert Bauval moment. Most people know of Robert Bauval as an investigator who was the first to identify that the three pyramids of the Giza Plateau are a mirror image of the three belt stars of Orion. And that unleashed literally a whole new dimension of thought about what was actually happening in ancient Egypt and the possibility that beings were coming and going from Orion. And then the next question would become, well, if beings are coming and going from Orion, how are they getting here? And this photo I took it's on the ceiling of the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, which is in Upper Egypt. And it shows a pharaoh, a Ptolemaic king, who is a resurrected being. In fact, he is on his way to Orion, according to the ancient Egyptians, and he's riding upon what the ancient Egyptians called the Ark of the Millions of Years, or the Ship of Eternity. So one time, must have been 2003, something like that, I'm laying on my back in this temple. I'm looking up at the ceiling. I'm looking at this image. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, that the Ark of the Millions of Years, the way the ancient Egyptians portray that is exactly the same way that modern scientists portray a wormhole. Could it be possible that the ancient Egyptians had some sort of a technology, spiritual or otherwise, that enabled them to travel via wormholes? And so that just opened up a whole new chapter in my research, and also a new chapter in Egyptology, because before that, we were never thinking that the Ark of the Millions of Years could be a wormhole. And in fact, it was kind of funny in the mid 2000s, the Egyptologists and the guides at the Temple of Hathor used to kind of snicker at me and say, "Oh yeah, there's the wormhole guy." Now, 20 years later, I go to the same temple and the guides all say, "Yeah, there's the pharaoh on his wormhole-shaped boat." So it's kind of become part of the vernacular now, and that's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing, William. William, I want to start off. I always like to start right at the beginning. Why not find out a little bit about you?
Mm-hmm.
I call myself a ufologist. Katie calls herself a ufologist. A lot of people call, but you call yourself an investigative mythologist.
That's right.
Give me an idea what an investigative mythologist is to a lay person like I am.
Well, it's similar to being an investigative journalist. I'm looking at stories, investigating them, and coming up with different or new takes on these stories. And so when I first started writing back in the or publishing books in this genre back in the mid 90s, I was just looking for a hook or a moniker. And I thought, well, okay, my specialty is mythology. I'm not really like Joseph Campbell, but I'm of that similar vein where I'm trying to help us to make sense of our modern world based on recurring archetypes and symbols. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to call myself an investigative mythologist. And now I get emails all the time from people saying, how do I become an investigative mythologist? And my advice is pick a story that hasn't been investigated, make it yours, and you can be an investigative mythologist.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking of looking at things in a new way, I tend to do that too a little bit. Like if I'm really interested in something historical, I'll tend not to look at a ton of books because I don't want to be jaded, or I want to investigate it in my own new, fresh way and think outside the box. But what about the Egyptian Ankh? What do you think that was? I've always, I don't always believe the things you read in books about that. Do you have...
Well, the Ankh is one of the primary symbols of ancient Egypt. It's referred to as the key of life, and you could be tempted to interpret it literally as a key tone frequency or a vibration, and that is certainly one level of interpretation that I think is acceptable. But the Ankh is actually a branch of the tree of life. And so it's sort of, if you think of it as you can think of it as like the remote control to a TV. It's an aspect of a much larger symbol. And so when the ancient Egyptians would use the Ankh or key of life, it's usually to convey the idea that something is being transmitted, usually from a god to a human being. So for example, you'll see them holding the Ankh up to someone's nostrils. If it's the key of life, why are they holding it up to the nostrils? And the answer is because it's tipped with oil. And this oil was thought to promote longevity and ultimately immortality. So the Ankh then becomes literally a symbol of long life, longevity, but ultimately immortality.
Oh, wow. That is so interesting.
Can I piggyback on that for a second, just a little bit, because this is something fascinating. I always thought about, because I study angels and stuff like that at times.
Right.
There, when you said there's an oil of life, right?
Yes.
In the same chapter, or maybe not that chapter, but in the same type of setting, isn't there an oil that supposedly can kill angels?
I'm not aware of an oil that can kill angels, but I have spent a long time studying and seeking out the secrets of oils that can transform humans into angels.
Okay, that's similar to what I've been reading about.
Yeah, which is equally interesting. I mean, when you think about it, and this is hugely important subject you've just brought up, in my view, because there's all these stories. Well, one of the first ones I remember. 1996, I did my first major lecture. It was at Sitchin Study Days in Denver, Colorado. It was an event devoted to the work of Zecharia Sitchin, and I was invited out to give a talk. And then afterward, my host said, we want to take you out to this house. It's called Falcon Wing. An important Egyptologist lived there until he died. And his name was Dr. Charles Muses. And I ended up later getting one of his books. And he talked about the ancient Egyptian belief that humans could become celestial beings, that an ordinary human being could become a star being. And that the ancient Egyptians had developed a technology in which tones, lights, and an as yet unidentified plant were used to open a rusty valve in our consciousness that could transmute us, similar in fashion to the way a chrysalis morphs into a butterfly. And that just blew my mind. That opened up this whole idea of oils as being central to this. And then you fast forward, there's a figure I'm sure you're aware of named Enoch, who was an Old Testament Yeah, he appears in the book of Genesis. He's the first human to ascend, according to the Old Testament tradition. Genesis says he walked with God, which means he left the earth. Well, the Essenes made a superhero out of Enoch, and they tell this story that the archangel Michael anointed Enoch with an oil that dissolved his body into light. So now his body was the same as the angels, which has got me thinking, well, that sounds like the oil the ancient Egyptians were talking about too. And then here's the important point. There's researchers that say that the Anunnaki were called shining ones because they rubbed oil on their skin, olive oil in particular. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I can rub olive oil on my face all day and it won't make me an Anunnaki, right? So there
might
must
make you Italian, but not.
Get fried in the sun that way, right? But
yeah,
it suggested to me, well, wait a minute. What if there is another layer here that the Anunnaki were utilizing this oil not to protect themselves from the sun or as a sort of a protection mechanism while on Earth? What if it's the same oil that the Essenes were talking about relative to Enoch and the ancient Egyptians were talking about? So that's a real driver of my research right now, is trying to more fully understand that oil.
Yeah, where's the? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
Oh, I was just going to say, Amanda had the question. Could that be what they put on Jesus?
Yes, that is what they put on Jesus. So there's a whole through line here for many thousands of years of this lost understanding of the use of these oils to transmute the human body into a higher form, a light being form that's capable of traveling in the stars.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask, like the frankincense and stuff. I mean, they mentioned frankincense and myrrh and all that. So I wanted to quickly ask too about DMT. Have you researched the DMT?
Yes, and that is a dimethyltryptamine. It's the active ingredient in things like ayahuasca. It's a psychedelic-inducing experience, and it's naturally produced in our brain. It flows through our blood. The pineal gland in our brain secretes it, and part of our objective, if you're on the spiritual path or the quote-unquote ascension path, is to fully understand our mystic anatomy and the functioning of our body from this perspective, which most certainly the Anunnaki understood. That is in part, I believe, why they came here, was to assist us in our transformation and enabling us to become a spacefaring race.
I was listening to a interview the other day about psychedelics, not to take the whole interview, into that direction, but they were saying, if you meditate, you can go to that place anyway. But a lot of people believe if you are experimenting with DMT and that kind of thing, it just is kind of like a little fast pass. But I'm not saying one way or the other if anybody should get into that. But it was interesting to hear it talked about that way. Can we backtrack a little bit to Sitchin? I know there was a time when we were all just, like reading all of Zecharia Sitchin's books, that whole 12th planet theory. Right. But that's been a long time ago now. And I feel like we've all learned a lot since then. I'm just wondering if you still follow some of his work and think he had good ideas, or if you've kind of moved on from that.
He had great ideas. I revered him almost as a prophet. I mean, he wasn't always right. In fact, he was wrong a lot of the time. But what he did do was kind of open up our minds and challenged us to dig deeper. And that's something I'll always remember Zecharia Sitchin for. It's unfortunate, in my personal experience, that most of the people that talk about Sitchin's theory, I call it the gospel of Zecharia Sitchin. The Anunnaki came here to create a slave race, to mine gold, to prepare the king atmosphere of their homeworld. Zecharia Sitchin never said any of that, ever. Never. It's not in any of his books. It just became something that people thought he really meant to say. He referenced ideas like that, but he never maintained that that's why the Anunnaki were here. He always said, I don't know why they were here. And then fans of his work who either read his work or didn't got the idea that, this whole slave race theory, which was really set us back for about 15 years, because that just became sort of the reigning idea, again, the Gospel of Zechariah Sitchin, and that is not true. The Sumerian texts do not say that anywhere, and nor really did Zechariah Sitchin. And so we had to transcend that, and then to look for new ideas about, well, why did these God beings come here? What was their purpose? And are they still here?
All right. This is really heavy. I'm telling you. I'm very impressed with this. So here's my next question to you. Why do you made a statement. Why do you think disclosure is a circus, Mr. Henry?
Well, because you've got a whole cast of characters that some are clowns.
Do you think we're heading in that direction, though?
Are we heading in the direction of disclosure?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think we might be a little stalled right now, but yes, absolutely. I mean, for the past, well, in my experience, the past 30 years, this has been a movement that has been accelerating, and it's running right parallel, in my opinion, with what we call the technological singularity. That's when all this AI, this alien intelligence that's running our world right now, becomes smarter than all of us combined. And
you think that artificial intelligence is alien? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
So this is what are we reverse engineered it?
Pardon me?
Did we reverse engineer it? Is that where we're at?
I would say we either reversed engineered it or it was imposed upon us by an extraterrestrial race. And this would then take us into a really interesting conversation about the Gnostic text referring to the archons, semi-demonic beings. And I use the word demon cautiously. I didn't, 5 years ago, I never would have talked like this.
We're going to get into that in the second half of the show about your thoughts on that. That's amazing stuff that I've read about that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole AI topic I know is going to open up a huge conversation. So we've got 5 minutes until break. Just real quick on the disclosure thing, we do talk a lot on this show about how I really feel like it's in the people's hands at this point. I think we've all gotten to the point where are we ever going to get this magic explanation from the government? I don't think so. No. I feel like their hand was forced a little bit in 2017. Unless it was planned. I don't know. We could go down that whole road too. But do you have thoughts on how just we as humans on Earth have to quit relying on our government for everything? And just if we need to be talking, we need to be doing this. We need to keep this conversation going ourselves.
We do. And I don't want to sound pessimistic. However, going back to the Anunnaki 5,000 years ago, the second oldest human story is the Epic of Gilgamesh. And in the Epic of Gilgamesh is this phrase that wide is the gate that leads to destruction, narrow is the way that leads to life. Wide is the gate that leads to destruction, and many find it. Narrow is the gate that leads to life, and few find it. Jesus quoted that verbatim in the Gospel of Matthew 2,500 years after the Epic of Gilgamesh, saying exactly the same thing. Wide is the gate that leads to destruction, many find it. Narrow is the gate that leads to life, and few find it. And I feel that way today in many respects about disclosure, that you have this vast spectrum of people that could care less. They want to know more about the Kardashians than they want to know about the Anunnaki. Fine. That's your choice. Wide is the gate that leads to destruction, and many find it. Narrow is the gate that leads to life, and few find it. There are many. How many would we estimate people that are truly in their heart committed to and interested in disclosure on this planet right now? Less than 10 million? More than 100 million? We don't know what the number is, but I was going to say it's a smaller percentage of people than perhaps we would really recognize.
Gosh, what can we do to change that? How do we get this out there? What can we do?
Just live it and make it a part of your reality, so that then others are like, wow, I want to know more about what Katie's been doing with her time. She's so knowledgeable in different areas, and she's really tuned in, and I want to know more. And I think that's the best way.
Right. Do you think it's by design? Do you think the media is keeping this down? They don't want us to wake up, do they?
Oh, no, it's definitely by design, I would say. I mean, otherwise we would have had some major revelation by now. So no, I feel like it's controlled. It's going to be drip, but for some individuals, we're going to catch that wave, and it's going to be mind blowing. And I hope it flips. I hope that when the event, if you want to call it that, actually happens, that people will widely embrace it. But that remains to be seen.
And one other quick question. I don't mean to, we're just like have a minute left till we go to break, sure. But, since we're talking about disclosure and all that, and, all the scary things that are going on in the world right now with Russia and Ukraine, and that people are once again talking about nuclear war. So I just want to ask you that question. If that came to pass, do you think we would be visited from our ETs, and would they shut that down?
Well, I think our history shows that, yes, if nukes are about to be exchanged, that there's a very good possibility and probability that there would be an intervention.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, I would sure hope so too. Absolutely. Okay. And what books do you have? We got a minute left, so let's talk a minute about your newest book. What is your newest book, William?
I have 3 that you can get readily available on Amazon. The Secret of Sion, which is about ancient stargates. The Lost Secret of the Watchers, which is about the Watcher angels. And then the Judgment Day device, which is about the real or complete Ark of the Covenant, which is an object of prophecy that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all say it will be recovered at the end of time or Judgment Day.
So it's not in Oak Island.
No.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break and hang in there. And when we get back, we'll have more with William Henry. Thank you.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button, so just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
Oh yeah, we're back. We're back with William Henry. What a great guest we got. And I'm going to start off the questions. I got to hit you with this one because I've been reading your stuff. And even though I'm probably going to sleep with the lights on tonight because we're going to be talking about some demon stuff here, I don't like that crap at all. But I will tell you that I'm going to say, look, there's a big fight going on. Lou Elizondo talked about this. Eric Davis has talked about this. In the Pentagon, there's some people who say we cannot do disclosure because it's demonic. All these crafts flying around are demonic. All these aliens that people are seeing are demonic.
Right.
And you have a certain take on this whole thing this is probably stifling part of disclosure. So, William, I want to know what your take is on all this stuff because, one, I don't think a demon needs a craft to fly around on. You know what I mean? Kind of deal. It's just that. I mean, if they got wings or whatever, that's what they need. But tell me your take on this.
Well, when we're talking about this whole demon aspect, I said a moment ago, 5 years ago, you would not have caught me talking about that. And then I started listening to people like Elon Musk, who started referencing AI as some kind of a demonic technology that we've let.
He's scared of it.
He's terrified of it, but at the same time, he uses it and makes billions of dollars off of it. So he has to kind of figure that one out. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. They're saying this is demonic, and then Geordie Rose, who of D-Wave Systems, who builds the quantum computers for NASA and Google that drives this AI, all these servers, he himself said that standing before his D-Wave quantum computer is like an altar to an alien god. And then he referenced H.P. Lovecraft as an inspiration for that. And Lovecraft's talk about ancient gods, referring to the Nephilim. And I'm thinking, oh no, now this is starting to sound like these evangelicals that think everything's demonic and so forth. And I never used to pay attention to that. Well, since listening to these tech guys, I started paying attention and started to realize there's some reality to this. And yes, demons do fly around in craft. They're referred to as Merkaba craft or celestial chariots, throne chariots. This is what Ezekiel saw. This is what Elijah ascended upon. These are the craft of the angels. And just because an angel is using it or a demon's using it doesn't mean that a craft is negative or positive, light or dark. It's neutral technology. And I started to realize that, well, wait a minute. What if that is what is happening in our world now? That we're seeing this resurgence and this belief in the demons because that's what's actually happening. And then when you look to the book of Revelation and its description of a demonic force of beings that introduce a mark of the beast that gets everybody to worship the mark of the beast and the image of the beast, which is some kind of a global unifying technology that was brought to earth. It was cast down from the heavens. That sounds extraterrestrial to me. You can start to see that there is definitely some, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to use the word validity, but I'm going to say there is a through line here that does help to explain some of what is happening in our world, where this technology, this demonic technology, was imported from the stars. It was suppressed for a long time after the cataclysm of 10,000 BC, the end of the Younger Dryas. And now it could be making a resurgence again in our world. Or what if it is? And that is just a very important what if question.
Yeah, but you have these high-ranking generals who absolutely will not have disclosure because they think we're being invaded by demons. I mean, that's exactly what Lou Elizondo says.
Absolutely.
Why don't you think they should let the public know if it's that? Let us know.
You know, we went into Iraq to get weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that Saddam Hussein believed that he was the reincarnation of the biblical King Nebuchadnezzar, and he possessed this I would say the Stargate secrets of the Anunnaki. And that's why we really went into Iraq. So the U.S. military and U.S. intelligence is very aware of all of the historical aspects of this conversation and who some of these players actually are. So I'm not saying that these particular generals that Lou Elizondo are referring to as saying that these craft are demonic, believe that Saddam was the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, but I'm just saying that has been part of the conversation. There is a faction within the U.S. government that very much believes that the Book of Revelation is a recipe book, and they want to see the second coming. And in order for the Lord to return, Babylon had to be rebuilt. Well, it was in the 1980s by Saddam. And in order for the Lord to come, Babylon had to be destroyed. It was in the early 2000s by the U.S. military and the U.S. people under the auspices of looking for weapons of mass destruction.
Wasn't it Saddam wasn't he obsessed with a certain kind of stone as well?
Saddam, yes, he believed that he was the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian king who destroyed the Temple of Solomon, looted the Temple of Solomon, took the Ark of the Covenant back to Babylon, and included amongst the Ark, it was a wish-fulfilling gem that Saddam was trying to get his hands on.
Okay. Let me ask you this as well. You brought up like the second coming. You have kind of an interesting theory that links to the Tic Tac UFO.
Yeah. When the Tic Tac video came out, my friend, Dr. Travis Taylor, who's also on Ancient Aliens, he's an engineer, looked at that and said, wait a minute, the heat signature on that, the halo on the Tic Tac craft, this is looking like this thing is popping into our reality. That the only way to explain what we're seeing in this video and the behavior of this craft is that it's using some kind of what physicists refer to as magic bubble technology, wormhole technology, that this thing is popping into our reality. It's not actually physically there, like you couldn't crash into it. You could bounce radar off of it. You can take a picture of it, but it may not be solid in the sense that the table that I'm sitting in front of is solid. It's coming from a higher dimension. And when he said that, I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's taking me back to research I was doing in like 2008, 2010 on the Alcubierre drive. Miguel Alcubierre watched Star Trek and said, why can't we build a warp drive just like in Star Trek? And he started coming up with a physics that would enable us to do this. And it is very similar to this magic bubble technology I was just describing. And when I first started hearing about that, I went back to Christian art of the ascension and return of Christ. In the Bible, in the book of Acts, Jesus ascends upon a cloud. And in Christian art, that cloud is shown as an orb of light with concentric rings. They're suggestive of either a portal, like a vortex, or the concentric rings symbolize sound or vibration. Either way, the cloud that they're describing isn't like an ordinary puffy cloud like you see in the sky. It is clearly some kind of a transportation device that enables Jesus to come and go from higher dimensions. And when you match that up with the descriptions of the Tic Tac video, they're virtually identical. So I went out on a limb and suggested, well, what if what we're looking at with the Tic Tac video is evidence of this magic bubble technology? And this is the same thing that the ancients were seeing with Ezekiel's wheels and even perhaps with the ascension of Christ. And according to the book of Acts, Christ will return the same way he left, meaning upon this cloud craft. And the interesting thing about that is that cloud as a transportation device is not isolated to Christianity. It's all over Buddhist art too. So we're talking about avatars, super advanced beings that have the ability to phase in and out of our reality from the higher dimensional realm that they originate from.
We actually have that Tic Tac video too. I just want to remind everybody what that looked like. Let's roll that real quick.
Sure.
Yeah. Wow.
So the engineers who have looked at that, and not just Travis Taylor, but other engineers have looked at that video and said, this is some kind of a warp craft. This is showing a craft that is entering into our reality by opening up a wormhole, and it's coming from a higher reality, a higher dimensional reality.
Wow. So if in our lifetimes, let's say 20, 30 years, and we're going to see, or we're living through the book of Revelations right now, do you think there's going to be a time when, I think COVID and all of this is kind of leading up to perhaps being able to, chip people to have their vaccine cards in their arms. And we're moving towards like people wanting to merge with AI or Neuralink, and others that are going to refuse it. Do you think that's happening, and that we're going to split, humanity's going to split into those who want to merge with AI and those who don't? And is this all part of the game?
Absolutely. And I've been writing about AI and human transformation since the year 2000. And especially starting in 2003 with my book, Cloak of the Illuminati, I said, look, there's a bifurcation coming. Some of us are going to take the military route, and this is all driven by the U.S. military, this AI business of us merging with technology and turning our biological flesh into digital flesh, and then ultimately shifting into the virtual world. This is all NASA. This is all U.S. military. This has been planned. We know this because we have the documents from the U.S. Department of Commerce and also NASA itself from starting in the year 2000 when they started talking about this, that we're gonna move through this phase here where we merge with AI and then we go virtual. And their justification, the reason why they want us to do that in these documents is so they can make trillions of dollars, wealth beyond our imagination. But in my view, lurking behind it, this plan is, why in the Department of Commerce report that was put out in 2002, they not only advocated the merger of humans with technology to create a new intelligent species, but they also promoted the idea of the hive mind. And why do you need a hive mind? Well, if you look at it from the ET perspective, if you've got imminent disclosure and you've got a race that's coming here, perhaps multiple races, they're not going to want to deal with 185 individual governments on this planet. They're going to deal with one unified being, and all of us simultaneously who are wired up into the hive mind will share the experience together. And in my view, that is what's driving this merger with AI. Yeah, the trillions of dollars is a nice benefit from the perspective if you're Apple Computer, if you're Elon Musk, or some of these other people that really could care less about humanity and just want to bulldoze us into Best Buy and have our cornea unscrewed and have some technology screwed into us and then go in and get you all wired up with your Neuralink and blah, blah, blah. It's garbage. It's absolute garbage. But the only reason you would want to do that is because you want to participate in some kind of a new technological reality that is not human. It's not human. And if it's not human, that means it's alien. And I do believe personally that this AI technology and this whole transhumanist movement is coming from outside of the human race.
Wow.
So let me give you this question here, because this is very similar to you talk about a new world order and perpetual war, that they want to keep us, these people who are global controllers, whoever they are, want to keep us into a perpetual war. They may even use an alien invasion threat for this. What is your take about this whole thing about new world order and who are the global controllers and how would they use an alien invasion thing for this?
Well, a couple of things on that. First, when you're talking about the New World Order, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's in the open now. We're all talking about it. We know the World Economic Forum, they advocate the fourth industrial revolution, which is the merger of our biological selves with the digital realms. That's where you're going to meet ET. is in the digital realm. There will be interaction in the biological side, but mostly it's going to be in the digital realm because that is totally controllable. Once you've got those implants, once you're wired up to Elon Musk's Neuralink, you are a puppet on a string. You have no free will. You have no free thought. You don't even know who you are anymore because they will be able to implant whatever memory that they want. And this technology is going to promote this concept of a new super being, a super artificial intelligent being, or a super alien intelligence that is soon going to be manifesting physically on the Earth plane. And this is what we're starting to see now with like Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse. What do you do when you wake up in the morning and realize everybody thinks you're a jerk and they hate your product, Facebook? Well, you change the name of it and you go create your own parallel universe that you're the Lord and Master of. And it's in that parallel world that they have total control and will, I believe, introduce a new alien race or an alien species that will then be accepted as this is the disclosure.
So are you saying that Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are the global controllers? Are they part of this group?
Absolutely. There's no question about it.
Name some others.
Oh, Apple, Google, Samsung, Sony. Every major corporation on the planet is involved in this. I mean, if you have children or grandchildren, they are right at this moment on the altar of big tech. They know what they're doing. They want total control of every aspect of humanity. They've already demonstrated that with COVID, with all the censorship, the authoritarianism. And this is exactly what the book of Revelation describes. There will be this image of the beast, this global technology that you must worship by taking the mark of the beast in order to buy, sell, or trade. And if you don't take the mark of the beast and worship the image of the beast, you will be killed. That's what Revelation says. And it might be a literal killing of you, or it could just be a canceling. Either way.
Does this fit in with an alien invasion?
It does, in the sense that it unifies the entire planet and brings all of humanity under one single unified umbrella, which I think is a part of an alien invasion type of an idea. I mean, think about it. If you're an alien species and you're seeking to control the planet, you're going to have to control 8 billion beings on that planet as well. How are you going to do that? Well, you're going to introduce some kind of AI technology where everybody's going to be carrying around one of these things. And because they got one of these things, they know exactly what you're doing, what you're thinking, everything. Because it's a surveillance device. And this is, I realize, a sort of a negative side of a alien disclosure or extraterrestrial disclosure scenario, but that is what's playing out right now. And it's up to us. If we want that reality, just keep using your phone and your computer. Keep buying the stock of these companies. Keep supporting this. Every click that you make is going to building this super alien intelligence that will manifest on this planet. And God forbid it goes Godzilla on us. But that is a very good possibility. That's what Musk talks about all the time.
Quite a bit.
That once the technological singularity happens and this beast emerges, his hope is that it'll treat us like we treat kittens.
Well, yeah, Chris is not going to sleep tonight. I just know it now. The singularity thing really does freak me out. I'm sure everybody's following the conversation, but like the moment when AI becomes self-aware and then can do anything they want and we don't have a hope in hell.
The U.S. military today said they're ready to give command and control to AI. Since 2017, it's been completely beyond human control, according to MIT. So we're right at that place right now where the U.S. military today said we're thinking we're going to give command and control to AI.
That is absolutely terrifying. I'm sure we have some questions from chat. If definitely you guys send us your questions for William Henry on this AI topic. Do you think? You and I were actually talking a few weeks ago. We had Michael Masters on the show, and we were talking about the theory that they could be us from the future coming back. Right. And, as long as we continue to merge with AI, it is pretty easy to see how that could happen. And we're definitely doing all kinds of things to our planet that could lead us to be very different physically and yada yada. I can go on and on. But what do you think of that theory that that they are literally coming back?
I think that's a really important conversation to have, and the reason why is because a facet of this conversation is that people like Nick Bostrom, Musk, again, I hate to keep going back to him, but he's involved in all of this. They're promoting this idea that this reality is just a video game. We live in a simulated reality, that you and I don't actually exist. Okay, we're just players in a game, and this is very insidious, and it's starting to have an impact, especially on kids who are addicted to these games and wanting to then maybe merge with a virtual reality and go shift themselves out of their biological body into a fully digital body. Now, the reason why this is important is because they say, Bostrom, for example, Nick Bostrom at Oxford says that this virtual reality, the simulated reality, was created by our super smart descendants. And that's Masters' theory, right? But what has to happen here, and this is the kind of the sliver of hope that I hang on to, and I also encourage any spiritually minded people to get into this conversation. What they are saying is that this reality is all that there is. There is nothing else. There is no source reality. I believe that my soul is a divine spark created by God. To them, God's just a programmer, right? And there's no such thing as a soul. That's Facebook's position too, that your soul is just all the stuff you've done on Facebook and you've done online since you opened up your computer. But us spiritually minded people have to hold fast to this idea that there is a source reality. There is a kingdom of heaven. There is a pure land, as the Buddhists describe it. That's where the Tic Tac comes from. According to this magic bubble theory, the Tic Tac craft has entered into our reality from a higher reality. Now, this is where the hope comes in, because if you've got all these dark people that want to say, you're just a player in a video game and you really don't matter, give up now because you don't matter, then that's one scenario. But if the Tic Tac is in fact a craft that has come from a higher reality, that is one leg up that helps us to prove, and this is what we have to do, is prove that there is an afterlife, that there is a source reality beyond this reality that these avatars come from, and perhaps even the pilots, if you will, of the Tic Tac craft are among them.
So I have a question then. I mean, do you believe then, I mean, obviously not all ETs or extraterrestrials or beings, spirit beings, they can't all be AI, which then would lead to that there's other beings out there that are kind of fighting this battle, maybe up there and have for thousands of years, perhaps, knowing perhaps the AI is coming, and there's those that are fighting to stop it and whatnot. I mean, do you believe that's true? And what do you make of like the blue orbs and things we're hearing about that? I hear some people say that they're good and healing, and others say they're not. Do you think this battle is going on with beings out there, and do they care about humans?
Right. So that's a couple of questions. So let's start with the first one. The Bible says that flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom of heaven. And NASA now knows that that's true, because when we send our astronauts up into space, they're having a hell of a time trying to exist up there. They get lonely. The radiation is making them sick. They have all kinds of spinal issues. Flesh and blood, our body is not meant to go out and live on Mars or the moon or anywhere beyond the Earth plane. So if that's true, and I believe it's true, then it seems like it would also be true for beings wanting to come to Earth from other realms. So what that means is that flesh and blood beings are going to have a real tough time traveling between star systems. So if they're not coming and going in flesh and blood form, then how are they going? Well, there's only two possibilities that I'm aware of. One is they're going to go as robots, AI, or they're going to go as light beings, energetic beings that can then morph into flesh and blood.
Oh, wow.
And that to me is, I think, is the cosmic battle, that there probably are AI beings out there. These could be those demons we were talking about a moment ago, who are AI beings. They're robots. They're like the Greys. They're not organic beings like you and I. And as an organic being, I have the inbuilt capability to transmute my flesh and blood body into a non-material light body that I can beam myself to another star system and then phase back into my flesh and blood body if I choose to do so. And that is the spiritual premise that runs through the ancient Egyptian, the early Christian, the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. They all tell us that this is our natural capability. And so what I see when you go back into, especially in the ancient world, is that it does sound like some of these beings are robotic, and that they want to see humankind advance in their image as robotic beings, which is what we're doing now. But the parallel path is to remain organic and to develop our organic capabilities. And I just wish that Elon Musk or NASA or somebody would invest as much money as they do in AI into developing our spiritual capability. That I think they should start sending monks to Mars, not engineers, if that's what we really want to do. Because there has to be a spiritual component to our migration into space, just as I believe there was a spiritual component that motivated extraterrestrials to come here originally, however many thousands of years ago. So that's the battle that is being fought right now on Earth. But I think it's also a cosmic battle that's gone on many, many, many planets throughout the solar system and throughout the galaxy and galaxies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a couple thoughts and then a question. Bigelow offered $1 million to anyone that could prove life beyond death, which I thought was cool. I would argue that I know people that could prove that to him, but I don't know if he ever. You guys know if he ever was satisfied with that? I don't know that he ever paid that out.
Some people think that he's got a cadre of PhDs, and it was just, there was one, I can't remember who it was that actually won the prize. He did give out the prize.
Okay.
But there was nothing new that emerged from it. It was just kind of like a PR kind of thing.
Okay. I want to bring up human perception quickly. Angelia Shearer always reminded me to think about this. So when we talk about, certain evil, ETs, entities visiting us, I mean, I do think it's possible, although I think we can trust our gut. And I think if something really is a bad experience, it's okay to call it a bad experience. But I also think sometimes we don't understand our interaction with these different kinds of beings, and we can be afraid and we can assume it's something evil when it's not. I mean, I just think you always have to factor that in. But
sure.
What I want to ask is, you had a really powerful sighting out at ECETI, out in the West. Can you tell us about that? And I think we have the video from that too.
Yeah, that was a fun experience. As many people know, James Gilliland has what's called the ECETI Ranch. It's at Mount Adams in southern Washington. And he invited me up there to give a presentation. And my talk was about the seraphim angels. They're the highest order of angels. They're considered to be beings of pure light and pure love. They're called the burning ones because they burn with the love of the Creator. And in Judeo-Christian art, they're portrayed as these kind of fiery beings, and they often have like a reddish orange orb around them, or their bodies are reddish orange, indicating that they're some kind of higher frequency type of being. And so I'm giving my talk about the seraphim and how I believe that they're actually Stargate traveling or time traveling beings. They've been coming and going in multiple civilizations throughout time. And I was showing my pictorial evidence of that. Well, after my talk, James stands up and goes, yeah, well, tonight we're going to call in some seraphim. I'm going to bring in some energies from the Orions and the Pleiadians and so forth. And yeah, we're going to call in some seraphim. And I just I started chuckling, and a lot of people started laughing. And James like, no, I'm serious. This is what we're going to do. So later that evening, James does his meditation ceremony sort of a thing, calling in these various energies, and it's very cool. And when he finishes, we go outside. There's like 300 of us in this barn that he has there, that is his conference center. And there's about 30 to 40 of us standing there together, including myself and James. And we look up, and here comes this reddish orange orb that is totally silent. And you go through the checklist. It's like, it's not a plane. It's not a helicopter. What is that? And a gentleman was there named Renato Langato, and he caught a video of it. And in the clip that you'll see, while you can't see what we were seeing and how really, truly majestic it really was, pay attention to the response of the people as this thing just gently hovers over us.
Okay, let's see that.
Oh, wow.
I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it again. I got it. I got it. I got it again here in the...
Oh, they were freaking out.
I know.
I have goosebumps all up and down my body. That's awesome.
I'm not saying that was a seraph or a seraphim, but it perfectly matches exactly what I was talking about earlier in the day. And then James has said, yeah, we're going to call one in later. And this thing just shows up. I mean, it could not have been more perfect.
I thought you were going to say, I'm not saying it's the aliens, but it's the aliens.
Aliens. How ancient aliens of you, Katie. Oh, my goodness.
I got a question for you here, William. Let's go in a little different direction here. Let's talk about the Book of Enoch. When God created the earth, he didn't want angels mixing with humans, and unfortunately that happened. And they created what they called the Nephilim, and then I guess God got mad, destroyed the earth with flood because he wanted to get rid of the Nephilim, and vowed, I do not want this to ever happen again, kind of deal. But now in the UFO community, we hear about all this hybridization. Now, if we take part of your theory of what you're saying, this hybridization process could be very dangerous in a theological way, because we're actually maybe doing the same thing that we shouldn't have been doing before. Can you comment on that?
Well, I think you just said it beautifully, and that is what I think is unfolding right now, and that is what opens up the conversation that this AI technology is in fact demonic, that it originated with the Nephilim. That's a real evangelical perspective. I've really tried to go deep into this question. First of all, when we're talking about the fallen angels, to be fallen doesn't automatically mean that they're dark or light, negative or positive. Fallen simply means you're just in a flesh and blood body, because the angels departed God's throne and they crossed a forbidden barrier. And that is really the real crux of that story is God isn't necessarily saying humans can't become angels. God is saying, you just can't cross the forbidden barrier that I put up here.
Yeah, but what Christianity teaches, though, William, is that
Christianity is wrong. Okay, Christianity.
Oh, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying the idea of the fallen angels
is
are
incorrect.
ones that kind of created a war or went against God when He created humanity.
And that
did
is
not like that.
That's a political perspective. It's not a cosmic perspective. That is a political perspective. It's like putting a barking dog outside your house that says, humans, don't you dare try to become an angel. Don't you dare try to cross my forbidden boundary and get in my house. You just stay right there in your little box. You stay outside my door. That's what the Book of Enoch really is. But meanwhile, throughout time, you've got all these mystical oriented groups that are saying, well, wait a minute. Why can't we cross that forbidden boundary? Why can't humans become angels? And they go out doing their business. And so traditional Orthodox religions forbid it, whereas the mystical or esoteric side of those same religions embrace it. And so that's kind of where we're at. And part of what turned my thinking about the Book of Enoch was the fact that when you're talking about the fallen angels, they descend from God's throne. They take on physical flesh and blood bodies. They see the daughters of men, and they have hybrid offspring, the Nephilim, right? There's a Greek word that was used to describe the fallen angels when they existed at God's throne. And that word is okiterion. It means the soul's original habitat, okay? That word, okiterion, is used in only one other place in the whole Bible. It's used to describe the resurrection body of Christ. What that means is that the fallen angels were originally Christ-like beings. They were originally in the exact same state of being as the resurrected Christ. In other words, they were energetic light beings. Then when they crossed over that forbidden boundary and entered into physicality, that's when they became the fallen angels. And this is when the church fathers then come in and decide, well, this has to be evil. This can't be allowed. You can't have humans running around trying to become Christ-like beings, trying to become angels, because then they're completely out of control. And they simply don't need the church at that point either. And so that's kind of my analysis of what's going on with Enoch. And I know that that's very nuanced, and it might it's probably different from what the traditional idea that the Nephilim are bad, they're fallen angels, they're evil, they're dark, blah blah blah. But this is what my research turned up.
Wow. So do we have to die then to become light beings, or to communicate, to ascend into this higher angelic kind of form? Can we?
No, we don't.
In our bodies.
Right. And that's part of the whole esoteric tradition, is you do it while you're living. Christianity, traditional Christianity says, how dare you think you can do this while you're living? You must wait for the second coming, and when all the dead will be raised. And that's the split again, where you have the traditional religion that says, thou shalt not do this. Whereas the esoteric side of it, or mystical side, is saying, well, why not? We should be able to do this. And in fact, there are documented examples of humans ascending throughout history. I did a series on Gaia called Ascension Keepers, which is all about all of these beings throughout history who answered the call of ascension and transformed themselves into a higher state of being.
Oh, I love that. Let's stay on this ascension thing for a minute. Sure. I love this. Let's talk about, and I can see chat is lighting up. I have I have a question. Do some Christians really go after you for a lot of your research?
Not really. I don't, I just, for some reason, don't show up on their radar.
You are now.
I am. I mean, look, because here's the thing. I live 10 minutes from the Vanderbilt University Divinity Library. Most of my research is at the PhD level, and that's kind of the service that I try to provide. I have access to this material. Most people don't, and it's very valuable. And there are so many academic conversations about the Anunnaki, about ascension, about extraterrestrials that most of us have no awareness of. And so what I like to do is say, well, let's go find out that perspective, and let's bring it back down to the popular level, instead of just having maybe 12 academics knowing what the true nature of the Anunnaki is. Let's get everybody on board together. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to challenge people's religious beliefs. I'm trying to say there's a bigger picture here. And there is missing information that is critical to us at this time that we've got to understand about this whole process of ascension and human transformation.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Where does the rainbow body fit into all of this?
The rainbow light body is a concept that originates with the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki, if you listen, you forget about Sitchin, okay? Throw out what Sitchin said about the Anunnaki, and let's listen to an academic. Jeremy A. Black was one of the noted scholars of ancient Sumeria. On his deathbed, he's in London, he's talking to his students, and he says, I got to tell you, the horned headdress of the Anunnaki, those horns symbolize rays of light. The Anunnaki were luminous. They were radiant. And in fact, they were rainbow colored. And then he dies. And that knowledge is kind of lost. And then you pick it up that the Anunnaki wore a shimmering cloak that was called the Malamu. Sitchin did not even know that word existed. And because academics dug it up after Sitchin passed and started to really talk about it. The Malamu is the shimmering, shining cloak of the Anunnaki. It's rainbow colored. And even Enlil, the one of the gods of the Anunnaki, many are, I'm sure, familiar with, traveled in a rainbow colored cloud, according to the Sumerian texts. So when you ask about the rainbow light body, and my answer would be it originated with the Anunnaki, because they came to show us how our biological body could be transformed into a higher form that matched the Anunnaki, which means we're emitting rainbow colored light. Flip now to the Tibetan tradition, where they speak of the great perfection or the rainbow light body. And the Tibetans tell you that your body was designed or fashioned probably by an extraterrestrial being, Enki in the Sumerian tradition, Ptah in the Egyptian tradition, so that its frequency could be accelerated so that until it dissolves into 5-colored rainbow light, leaving behind only hair, toe, and fingernails, which have no nerves to be transmuted. Now, flip to the Christian tradition and go into the art portraying the resurrected Christ. You know you're looking at the resurrected Christ in Christian art when he's sitting on a rainbow or is sitting within a rainbow, because he is in his original Oki-Terion state of being, which is the energetic light being form. So from the Anunnaki through the Egyptian to the Tibetan, the Christian tradition, they all talk about this luminous, radiant aspect of ourselves, the rainbow body, that we can all attain. And to return to our earlier conversation, the common denominator in all of those traditions is that there's an oil that can produce that rainbow light body. And that's what my current research is about. In fact, I have an event in Nashville next weekend, April 9th and 10th, called Halo 2.0, Quest for Christos. Christos is the name of that oil in Christianity, but it didn't originate with Christianity. It originated with the Anunnaki.
Are you referring to the rainbow angel when you say the rainbow light being? Is it the same thing?
Absolutely. The mighty angel, the rainbow angel of the book of Revelation is exactly one of those beings.
So he's going to, by the rainbow angel coming, he's going to activate the inner image of God to us, so we can learn from that?
Exactly.
All right. Now, I got to ask you this question because I read this. I didn't understand it, but I saw this statement in here, and maybe I'm wrong, but what do you mean by alien panic porn?
That's kind of what disclosure is. It's alien panic porn. You got a large number of people out there, perhaps, that really don't have a context to put UFO disclosure in, and so now that's alien panic porn. That's
okay, but is that like now you hear all these ufologists using the word threat? Is that what you're going to? Because you hear Lou Elizondo saying, oh, we got this threat, and now it's a threat, and all these other people about airspace.
Exactly. That's alien panic porn, because now you got a threat. Now we can up the military budget. We got to fund Space Force some more. And I'm saying, well, okay, well, what is the other side of that? You know, what are we doing to educate the people in a mass way besides Ancient Aliens and other shows that are popular on TV, so that people can have a context to understand what is actually happening around us right now?
Do you believe we're in Judgment Day right now? I mean, the world is crazy.
The world is crazy. I think that the Book of Revelation and Judgment Day is a cyclical event, and that the Book of Revelation is so archetypal and symbolic that it can be interpreted in different ages, and absolutely in our age. What is Judgment Day? Judgment Day is when the books are opened and everything you've ever said or done is judged. What's Facebook? That's the CIA. That's DARPA. Everything you have ever done since you opened your first computer and turned it on has been recorded, and you will be judged for what you have done online. And
well, it's been nice knowing, because as you were sent to heaven, I know where I'm going.
Well, heaven is the metaverse. Heaven is Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse.
I don't give a rat's ass what Mark Zuckerberg
version
thinks
of this. That's what that is. It's a mocking or mimicking of the spiritual side, the light side of the Book of Revelation. That's what they're doing, and that's why some people think it's demonic.
Yeah, we are getting graded. There's some websites that actually rate you as a human, good, bad, like you jump on the thing like in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, bad egg, and you go down. Anyway, so do you recommend, William, that people try to communicate with spirit beings or ET beings? And if so, how does one raise their vibrational light? How does one basically ascend? How do we start to begin to do this?
Well, what I teach is that ascension is a quest for perfection. And perfection in the spiritual vernacular means to be more whole, more holy, more complete, more compassionate. So really, our quest for ascension and perfection is a quest to be more whole and to be more holy. And all of us can begin to change things that we're doing that are in alignment with a more whole or holy version of ourselves. Very quickly, I go back to the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's the world's second oldest story, but it's one of the most important, because Gilgamesh is told by an Anunnaki goddess that he's 2/3 divine and 1/3 human. And if he wants to get through the gate of the gods, which is ultimately all our goal, she's telling Gilgamesh, you better clean up your act, because if you try to go through the gate 2/3 divine and 1/3 human, it's going to be like walking into a blender. You're going to get your feathers ruffled. So she's telling Gilgamesh to fill in that missing 1/3 piece. Well, if divinity or wholeness is symbolized by a circle, which it is, 2/3 of a circle, which is 360 degrees, is 240. So what I say is, well, what if we all start out at about 240 and we're trying to make it to 360? Every day, you're doing certain things mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally that are reflective of your belief that you're maybe 2/3 divine, or you're 240, or maybe you're 270. And so the way to become more whole and to fulfill the process of ascension is to think, well, okay, when I'm at, say, 300, will I be doing the same things that I'm doing now, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally? Yeah, you'll be doing some of those things, but you'll also be doing new things, different things. And the way to raise your frequency, if you will, on this ascension path to go from, say, 240 to 270 to 300 is to figure out what will you be doing differently when you're at that higher frequency, and then start doing those things. And that will automatically start to raise you on this ascension scale, if you will.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Intention.
So you've been, as we all know, on Ancient Aliens for years now, and I love where you've taken it. I feel like you've definitely encouraged them to bring some light and positive thinking and spirituality to the show. Do you have any hints for us on what's going to be coming up in the Ancient Alien world?
Well, one nice thing is we're going on the road in May. Giorgio Tsoukalos, David Childress, and I are doing some theater tours. So we'll be in Reading, Pennsylvania, Newark, Akron, and Milwaukee. And then there will be some other dates that'll come on after that later in the summer. So I love that. And the show is trying to, it's like an anchor. Okay. And so we can't stay as contemporary as we want, because it's a show where we shoot it, say 6 months ago, and then it'll air sometime in 2023. So you can't stay part of the current conversation. But what we are trying to do is to show that what is happening currently, what is presently going on in our world, has roots in the ancient world. And if we want to understand the tree or the fruit of what is unfolding right now, it's very important that we understand those roots and see what's going on underground, so to speak.
Definitely. We're down to like our last 5 or 6 minutes, but we had a few months ago, Chris had a news story about a young man that when he was a little boy, he knew all kinds of things, including the fact that there was like a chamber, something behind the ear of the Sphinx in Egypt. And then I guess later on they found that chamber, and it was just, I don't even know if you know anything about it. But I just wanted to bring it up in case you had heard that story.
It was a Russian child who believed he was an descendant from Mars, that he lived a past life, that he actually was from Mars, a civilization from Mars, and that he was extremely brilliant. I mean, this child was talking at 3 months, reading at like 4 months, and I mean, he's in seclusion in Russia now, as Katie's saying. And one of the things he did say is that there was some kind of chamber that was supposed to enlighten us or bring us information, behind this ear or something. Do you know anything about that, William?
Well, there's definitely some kind of I wouldn't say a chamber, but there is a cutout. It's about like this big right there on the ear of the Sphinx, and it's very curious. So it's possible that there is something behind that ear. Edgar Cayce, of course, said there's a hall of records, a chamber beneath the right paw of the Sphinx. I think that's really quite possible. There has been some ground penetrating radar done. There's definitely a chamber underneath the Sphinx. Nobody knows for sure what's in it, but you have to be mindful that when you're on the Giza Plateau and you're in and around the Sphinx, everything is going on underground there. The Sphinx, the pyramid, they're just a sliver of this immense complex that is underground beneath the Giza Plateau that extends all the way over to Saqqara. There's like 8 miles of honeycomb tunnels underneath the Giza Plateau that extend over to Saqqara. So it's just practically beyond our comprehension, the immensity of what we're actually looking at there.
Maybe that's where ET's hanging out.
Yeah. Is it true, like the scale of the Sphinx, was the head removed and a different one put on? I've heard that somewhere. Is that true?
I think there's a lot of validity to that, because clearly the head is disproportionate to the body. Mm-hmm. So there was something else there that seems to have been recarved. Robert Temple thinks it could have been an Anubis dog. Others still maintain that it was always a cat or a lion. I don't know for sure, but the head is definitely too small for the body.
Yeah, maybe they found it, Katie, whatever was behind the ear, when they switched out the head. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
I'm just saying. So I hear that you and your wife do another show. Is that right, on Gaia Television?
Yeah, we had a show called Arcanum, which is about all of the secret symbolism in sacred art. We did 13 episodes of that show. It was really a lot of fun, and people tell us they enjoy it. So we'd love to do more.
Oh, beautiful Claire. She is one of my favorite human beings on earth. And, Chris, you've been bringing up angels and demons and everything tonight. She is an angel walking among us. I swear, the first time I met her, well, I know, gosh, William, the first time you met her, I think it really was love at first sight, right? You're like, that's my person.
It was. I was at Saqqara, and I looked across the temple. I said, that's my wife. And sure enough, 10 months later, we were married.
And I've known you so long, and I just always thought, and don't take this the wrong way, but I thought you'd be single forever because you're always traveling and you're always got your nose in a book and just constantly researching everything. And when you're like, you've got to meet my Claire. I remember you said my Claire, and I was like, what is happening?
All right.
Right.
All right. Following up on Cookie's questions, do you and your wife ever get into real deep discussions, arguments over this stuff?
Yeah, because I'm not arguments, but differing opinions, because she is, as Katie said, very, very angelic. And sometimes I'm not negative, but I maybe I'm a little more pessimistic sometimes. I see the problem, she sees the solution. Okay. And so that would be the crux of the conversation.
That's a pretty good fit, though.
Yeah.
Because in my marriage, we see a problem on both sides, and the solution. We just want to get our points across. They care less about a solution. I want to be the louder of the two, and she wants to be the louder of the two.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
If we ever had Claire on here, I tell you, she is brilliant. I'd love to talk to her too. She's whoo. She'll take us right up into the stratosphere.
Right. Well, I want to remind our viewers to please check out William Henry's books and his shows, and maybe you can go to some of his events coming up. We certainly had a very interesting, thought-provoking question. I know I learned a lot. Thank you, Katie Cook. Thank you, Chris DiPerno. Thank you, Bill Skywatcher, our producer, and Amanda Curran, our co-producer. If you guys see something, make sure you report that to MUFON. Next week, we have Alan Steinfeld with us. And I want to thank William again for being here. Thank you so much. It's been a fantastic show. And I hope that you'll come back. Yeah.
Anytime. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much, and keep up the great work.
Yeah, this is great. You took us all over the place too. And I knew that would be the way it would be with you, is that, we obviously, talk about UFOs and aliens a lot, but just take it cosmic and ancient aliens and all over the place. It was perfect.
Cool. Right. And that's so important. That's what we're trying to do here, right? To build that bridge, right? And bring all in the spirituality and the ascension. So I certainly do appreciate it. And thank you to all our listeners out there. Make sure you go to KGRADB and subscribe, and please like, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.